Alrighty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app. It's great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd here with you. And we have a full show in store for you today. It's going to be awesome. A lot of smash. 3 players, in fact. We'll have 2 this hour, 1 the next. McHale, Lincoln Torres, and Brody Goodwin are our 3 players. Congratulations to all 3. It's going to be it was a great conversation. It really was. And I really enjoyed our time talking with them. The kids are always great. The parents are wonderful. The coaches, it's really just a great organization to interact with. So we have a lot of that today. That will be sprinkled throughout the rest of the week. We'll have a bunch of Bombers stuff tomorrow and Friday. I believe we have one more Smash interview that will air on Friday as well. So we have a lot of stuff to get to locally. But right now we start with the opening rant today, which is, I've heard stories that LeBron's not clutch. I've heard stories that he never takes big shots. He always passes them off. I've heard stories that he's not good in big games, that he's not good in big moments. But, I maybe I need my glasses checked. But yesterday, I could have sworn I watched LeBron, who I also hear can't shoot, nail a big 3 from far out with a man around him for the game-tying play in a must-win playing game. I'm pretty sure my eyes saw that. Maybe I need my glasses checked. But then I'm pretty sure right after that, I saw the same LeBron drive baseline, draw a whole crowd of defenders, kick out to an open shooter in Schroeder, who hit what should have been the game-winning 3 with 1.4 seconds left. I could have sworn I watched all that yesterday. Maybe I'm crazy. Now, the ensuing play, the Lakers won in overtime, in case you're wondering. 108-102 was the final. But the ensuing play, Minnesota calls timeout, advances the ball, and they get the ball into the corner from Mike Conley, the far side corner, for a 3. How he got as open as he was, I don't know who blew that assignment. But Davis was forced to then close out hard and fast. And I've watched the replay a few times. He may have bumped him. He may not have. It's not a bad call. It's a bang-bang call. It's a 50-50 call. You could call that there. You could not call it there. But they called it body contact. And Conley hit all 3 free throws, which is why it went to overtime. But short of that, those 2 plays by LeBron would have been game winners. Game tying and game tying 3 and a game winning assist. But obviously they had to play overtime, and the Lakers won in overtime. So the bottom line is this. People will say they barely survived against a undermanned, dysfunctional Minnesota team. Okay, I get that. That's an argument that I understand the logic in. I do. But here's the thing I've learned in 20 years of following basketball. Well, more like closer to 30 years now, actually, because I started watching basketball when I was like 7. So yeah, 30 years of following basketball and 10 to 15 years of, in some way, doing it professionally in broadcasting. What I've learned is whenever the game or two after a team suffers a major loss of personnel, whether it be by suspension, public humiliation, a coaching firing, whatever, there is usually a momentary sugar rush where everyone wants to prove to everyone how good they are and how it doesn't matter, whatever happened, and we're good and we're going to take care of this and blah, 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 us against the world. There's usually a handful of games where that mentality spurs that organization on to levels of play that they're not truly capable of. And that's been my experience for a lot of years. And I expected this Minnesota game to be pretty close because I figured that would happen. I figured there would be a surge of "we'll show you." And there was that. And the funny thing was, it didn't come from Anthony Edwards, who was awful in this game. What was he like? I think 7 of 19 or something like that. I have to look up the box score. But he did not shoot well. He did not have his best game. And yet the Timberwolves persevered and played a very, very good game. They really did. And people will try to, this is something that I think a lot of broadcasters are guilty of. I know I've done this before. It's something I consciously try to not these days. But usually when we do a post-mortem on a game of any kind, it's generally this team didn't play well and blew it. Not, well, maybe the other team played really good and forced their hand. We don't like to give credit. We like to cast blame. And this is probably some type of deeper human condition. And it's probably something that is observable in other walks of society and life. This tendency to place blame versus give credit. Because giving credit usually involves either a implicit or explicit admission of being incorrect, or acknowledging the superiority of something we were rooting against. And we don't like to do that. No one does. So I think usually casting blame is the de facto position. I'm here to tell you, there's no blame to go on the Timberwolves here. The Lakers played a really, really good second half. They were down 6 after the first quarter. Then they lost the second quarter by 5, so they were down 11 at halftime. They cut it to 7 after 3, and they clamped down hard in the fourth quarter. The Timberwolves, who scored 28, 32, and 26 points respectively in the first 3 quarters, scored 12 points total in the fourth. Lakers outscored them by 7, tying the game, and then they held them again in check in the overtime session, allowing just 4 points. Lakers scored 10, and they won. So instead of blaming the Timberwolves, let's credit the Lakers for a great halftime adjustment. What do we always say about the Golden State Warriors? Everyone always says, well, their third quarters are the best. They make these great halftime adjustments. Okay, fine. The Lakers did that last night. They were a whole different team in the second half, particularly defensively. The third quarter was a bit of a shootout. Both sides were really firing on all cylinders. The Lakers made up 4 points. But in that fourth quarter, the Timberwolves couldn't do anything. They had them locked down. And one guy I got to give a lot of credit to, Karl-Anthony Towns, in my opinion, played his best game as a professional basketball player last night. He had 24 big points. Anthony Edwards was awful, 3 of 17. It's absolutely terrible. 0 for 9 from the three-point line. He was horrible. He had a total of 9 points. 3 of them were from foul shots. The guy was awful last night. Karl-Anthony Towns carried this team. Mike Conley was awesome too. Those two guys really did all the work, but Towns was incredible. He was a very efficient 8 for 12. He didn't fall in love with the three-point shot. He wasn't like basically becoming Brian Cook like he likes to do, hanging out in the corners. No, he only shot 4 of them. He made 2 of them. He was getting to the free throw line, which means he was playing to contact. He made all 6 of his attempts. He rebounded the ball well with 11. He was passing the ball. He had 5 assists. And the biggest thing he had 3 blocks in this game. He was protecting the rim. Every time I happened to look up, there he was, engaging defensively, playing on the perimeter, going over screens. This is the best game I've ever seen this guy play. He deserves a lot of credit for this game. He really does. This was a Towns I frankly didn't think existed. I really didn't. I didn't think he had the toughness, the desire, the want to be this. And maybe all that time off did him some good. Maybe it gave him a different perspective. I don't know. But this guy was a beast last night. Plus 18 last night with him in the court. In fact, he's the only Timberwolves player with a plus minus of positive. Everyone else was negative. He was plus 18. He was awesome last night. So the Lakers won this game. The Timberwolves didn't lose this game. You could sit here and say, well, if Edwards shoots better, if they have Gobert, you could do all that stuff. That's lazy and it's improvable, right? It's completely improvable. Does Towns play that way with Gobert? Is he engaged defensively? And does he have the shots? You could play this game all day. I don't want to do that. We watched the game we watched. The Timberwolves played awesome. The Lakers were better, particularly in the fourth quarter. They clamped down hard. And this is where the biggest difference from the Lakers now versus the Lakers from most of the season is over the last month. Not only have they gotten healthy, but their defense is seriously, seriously improved. This was the worst defensive team, or one of them, in the NBA all year. The last month, with the roster moves they made, Rob Pelinka deserves a lot of credit. I gave him a lot of beef, a lot of criticism, but he did a lot of stuff near the end of the year, and you've seen their scoring average allowed go down. I mean, it went down like almost 2 full points in the last month of the season, which is hard to do if you know how averages work. Once you have X number of games in the bag, 65 games or so in the bag, moving it down 2 points takes a lot of effort because, it only moves it so much because that's how averages work. So it was really impressive. And their defense was great in the second half. Anthony Davis was awesome. 15 rebounds, 24 points. But LeBron was the best player in the second half of this one. He was the best player in crunch time. He was the go-to guy. He was the guy making it happen. He hit the big three. He had 30 points to lead all scorers. He had 10 rebounds, which was second on the team to Davis's 15. He also had 6 assists. The guy just played great. 2 blocks, a steal. He was 12 of 21, so he better than 50% from the field. And he played 45 minutes. Guys, this is a 20-year veteran. Absolutely unbelievable. Lakers bench was really good. Dennis Schroeder was awesome in this game. Rui Hachimura played a pretty good role. Had 12 points and, played some good minutes. But this game came down to the fact that the Lakers defense in the fourth quarter in particular really locked in, made life very hard for the Timberwolves. And other than a 50-50 foul call, which could have gone either way, this game would have been over in regulation. And this is a really good basketball game. I wish I could have stayed up to watch it. I watched a lot of this on highlight and replay because it's just too late for me. I can't be up at that hour. But this was a really good basketball game. And to surmise, and this is where I guess the crux of my argument today is, to surmise that the Lakers won't compete against other teams in the West because this game was close is just not fair. It doesn't even make any sense. This was a game that was close because a couple of great players played really good. And all the teams in the NBA, at least in the NBA playoffs, have 1 or 2 great players. And I'll tell you this, if I was going to handpick an opponent among the higher seeds of the Western Conference, I would pick the Grizzlies. This is a team that has been up and down. They've won a lot of games, but they've been inconsistent this year. They are awful from the free throw line. And they're a team that is prone to mental lapses. I don't know the status of Steven Adams. I assume he's not going to be healthy. And that's big, especially against a team like the Lakers, who are probably the best team in the NBA at attacking the rim and drawing contact, because they led the league, I believe, in free throw attempts. And people say, well, it's the Lakers. The Lakers, they get the calls, blah, blah, blah. You get what you earn. These guys attack the rim nonstop, and they really are a great team at attacking the rim. They really are. But Adams, if he's not going to play, I think they're in a lot of trouble against this Laker team, because he really is, in my opinion, a key to their success. He keeps them together. He's a leader on the floor. and he provides the type of toughness and physical ability defensively, especially, that I don't know that they have enough of without him. Jaren Jackson might be the best defensive player in the NBA. He might win Defensive Player of the Year this year, but he is more of a weak side shot blocker, perimeter defensive big, not really a guy who's going to be a quote banger. And obviously you don't need a lot of bangers in the modern NBA. I get that. But Davis's upper body strength, I think, is going to give Jackson a world of trouble. And don't be surprised if he's consistently in foul trouble. We'll break this series down as it gets a little closer, but that's just an early tidbit. And yeah, Adams is not going to play. He's going to miss the playoffs due to a PCL sprain. So he's out. So, but if I could have handpicked an opponent, it would have been the Grizzlies. So we'll see. But good win last night for the Lakers. And yeah, that LeBron guy, man, he's not clutch, is he? God, what a stupid argument. People have been saying that for so many years, and it's just not true. Oh, what an idiotic thing to say. All right, here we go. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We got the question of the day, then OC Smash players to round out hour number 1. We'll have the top 5, Yankees and Mets talk in hour 2 as well, and we'll close things out with one more Smash player as well. That's what's on tap the rest of the way. You're listening to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to RadioOnlyDeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. RadioOnlyDeals.com. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Baseball has an endangered species. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
Would you like to hear better for as little as 10 cents a day? Now you can with the all-new Audion hearing aids. The average hearing aid lasts about 3 years. Ours, at only $99 a pair, means you're paying as little as 10 cents a day to hear better. And to make things even better, we'll give you a 45-day money-back guarantee. Skip the doctor and get hearing aids delivered straight to your door. We've eliminated all the middlemen to offer you a factory direct price of only $99 a pair. Join over 300,000 people just like you who took advantage of our 45-day trial offer. Now you can hear better too for just 10 cents a day. Call now and order your $99 pair of Audion hearing aids with a 45-day money-back guarantee. Plus, get free 3 to 5 day shipping.
800-226-1471. 800-226-1471. That's 800-226-1471.
Baseball scouts are soon to be extinct. So says historian Lee Lowenfish in his new book, Baseball's Endangered Species. Lowenfish argues there has been a shift in how baseball teams are run now that so many new owners have come out of the hedge fund business. Take, for example, Steve Cohen, owner of the New York Mets, whose money was made by leveraging algorithms and focusing on numbers. But baseball, Lowenfish contends, is a relationship game, meaning that teams that operate like Cohen's can't buy a pennant. Question: do you or do you not think baseball teams can buy a pennant?
Oh, I think they can. I've watched the Dodgers do this. The Yankees did this a few different times. It's not a foolproof strategy. It might not even be the best strategy. But to say it can't be done, I don't agree with that. I think the Dodgers have clearly done that. I don't know with this question, what confuses me is how does a focus on numbers preclude the need for a scout? I mean, someone has to go and dig up the data to put into the algorithm crunching computers, doesn't it? I mean, don't you like you need to find the people, the players, and then know their metrics to run the numbers. Who do you think does all that? I mean, that comes from scouting. I think this question is totally off base. Do I think a scout's job will be now more of a fetcher than an evaluator? Yes. If that's the question, then that I agree with. I think the job is going to be wholly different and much less glamorous and much less autonomous. I wouldn't want to be a scout in the modern world. I don't know that I ever would have wanted to be a scout. That's too much traveling for me personally. But at least in the olden days, you had kind of some say. In a lot of cases, a lot of say if you were well trusted and respected in, what the player's potential was. Now, with what the question alludes to, with the numbers and the metrics and the computer programs and whatnot, you're going to be, in almost all cases, nothing more than a data fetcher. Your job's going to go find the players. You're still going to have to do that. Then you're going to basically grab their numbers, throw it into, give it back to the front office. They'll throw it into some computer, probably with some type of weighted formula to mathematically attribute the effect of those numbers, the effect on those numbers of the competition level that you're playing against. They'll probably weight that one way or the other, and then they'll spit out a rating and draft and spend resources on player development based on those ratings. Something along those lines. I'm sure that's how it'll be done. But the thing is, even in that sort of heartless, relationless, cold manner, that whole machinery doesn't work without the initial input. So someone has to go out and mine that input. If you think of it like mining a raw material from the earth, you can't build a car without the metal. You can't, put oil in a car without mining the oil first. So, and then it gets refined. There's your mathematical computer process. It spits out the final product. There's your final rating. And then it's developed into something usable and sold on market. I mean, if you want to think of it like that's really what this is. But at some point, someone or something was in the well digging for the raw material, digging for the data, finding the player, finding the information to input into the machinery for refinement, development, and deployment. So it all starts there. And that someone or something in the context of baseball, even in the modern game, is still the scout. That's what they do. You're not going to do that any other way. So I think that the scouts as an endangered species, not in the most literal sense, in terms of the way they've operated historically and the autonomy they had and the gravitas that a lot of their evaluations carried without mathematical certification from the front office. Yeah, that's gone. If it's not gone, there's a handful of dinosaurs still hanging on from previous reputations that no one wants to kick to the curb yet. But that's gone. That's not the job anymore. It hasn't been for some time. But the job of a scout, the necessity of having a scouting department, that's not going anywhere. No way. No way. It cannot. I would be shocked. Because what are you going to do? I mean, you find these kids in Dominican Republic, in Japan. It's like, what are you going to set computer programs to automatically watch YouTube videos and then what's the trigger? What's the how do you make the computer program then ping someone to say, hey, look at this guy? I mean, you can't just say every time a home run's hit, even if you can write a computer program that can watch a video and know what a home run is. So, like, can you program in nuance of what level this was, what the competition was, how fast the fastball was, where is it located, how old is this? Like, there's a lot of factors that I don't know that you can just fully automate. So, with all that said, what are you going to do? People have to be out there looking for talent. So you're still going to have scouts. You're still going to have scouts. And the other thing is too, and this is where the relational part of the business that the question raises really comes into play. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's go fully dystopian here. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you could automate all those things, and you could automatically get notifications on any player you want to get notifications on, even guys you're not aware of their existence yet. Let's say all that was true, which I don't believe it is, but let's say it is. Okay. Now, if everyone's doing this and everyone's getting notifications on the same players because they're using the same basic computer programs and formulas and analytical processes, what do you think is going to convince that player's family to sign with one organization versus the other? It's going to be a person, right? You're not going to send a computer. You're not sending Rosie to go offer a contract, are you? You're going to do that over Chat GBT? Who do you think and how do you think deals get done? And this is why I think AI is never going to be the massive uprooter of human work necessity that everyone's so fearful of. When was the last time you voluntarily transacted money for a service that was sold to you by a computer? When was the last time you bought something off of one of those robo phone calls? Probably never. People buy from people. They buy based on relationships, and they rationalize with numbers. That's how people operate. If people have operated that way since the dawn of time, and it's never going to change. So a scout is not just, at least traditionally, was not just a miner and a finder. He was also your first salesperson. These scouts talk to these players and the families and the coaches and stuff. And those conversations build relationships, which ultimately lead to comfort. And they often lead to the signings. They're your first point of contact. So I think that even in this dystopian reality, this fictitious reality I just, painted, I still think even then, even if you did the initial finding, evaluation, and grading all automatically without any human involvement, you would still then need human involvement at a high level from that point forward in the relationship. So I think this is a little bit far-fetched. That's just my evaluation of it. And I don't believe the finding, grading, and evaluation of players is something you can fully automate, because I think there's limits to what you can tell a computer to do. So anyway, there you have it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and we have our Smash players back to back. So we got a lot of cool stuff. We got first up, we're gonna have Lincoln Torres and Connor McHale, and then in hour number 2, we'll have Brody Goodwin. So let's go ahead right now, and we will continue on from there. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Alrighty, hour 2 of the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. It's great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd here with you, and we do apologize for the mix-up there. We intended to have the Smash players Lincoln Torres and Connor McHale play at 10:30 and 10:45 respectively. Instead, you heard from Kira and Izzy of the OC Bombers, which was awesome. That will play again tomorrow as we send out those notifications. Not everyone who may have wanted to hear it live got a chance to do so. And those who turned in for Lincoln and Connor, well, they didn't get that either. So to make this all make sense again, tomorrow we're going to air Connor and Lincoln. That'll air at 10:30 to about 10:45 tomorrow. And then Kira and Izzy's interview, which we just played, will play again tomorrow in hour 2, starting at 11. So we'll forego the top 5 tomorrow. And you'll hear from Kira and Izzy at the top of hour 2, Lincoln and Connor in the middle of hour 1. And we also have Jana Salerno, who will be joining us from the Bombers tomorrow as well, I believe. That would be at 11:45. So we apologize for all that. So tomorrow is going to be a busy, busy show. Hour 2 is going to be all interviews, in fact, because we'll have the ones we just mentioned, and we're going to have Joe Vasile of the Hudson Valley Renegades. Their radio broadcaster will join us in his weekly spot to talk Renegades baseball. So they won last night, by the way, 15-1. Absolutely dominated Aberdeen. It was crazy. I think they hit 5 home runs in the game. There were 2 players on the Renegades that hit 2 home runs. One guy hit another. Just a total dominating performance by the Renegades. Off to a good start. They really are. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're going to have some giveaways too coming up shortly with Renegade tickets. So stand by for that. That should be available probably next week for the rest of the season. So be tuned in for how you can win some Renegades tickets courtesy of Cave Talk Radio. All right. So right now it's time to look into our top 5. And honestly, I didn't have anything particular planned for today as far as what I want to do for the top 5. So, you know, in light of the big play made by LeBron yesterday, I decided to look at some of my top 5 playoff performers that I've personally watched. I'm not even saying all time, the best ever. I'm not trying to rank who's better than who. Just guys that I enjoyed watching in the playoffs over the years. So without further ado, here it is. I like, well, certainly LeBron's on the list. There's no question about it. I mean, what he's been able to do for as long as he's done it with as many different teams and cast of characters and coaches, it's been nothing short of incredible. Love LeBron in the playoffs. I was a big fan of Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal in the playoffs. Shaq, for about 5 years, was a total and complete force of nature, particularly in the postseason. During the Lakers' first three-peat, the first 2 years of that three-peat especially, he was just as good as any playoff player I've ever seen in my life. He was utterly and completely indefensible. Just a physical force of nature that no one could do anything with. People always talk about how people were afraid of Jordan or intimidated by Jordan. They were maybe afraid of what they perceived, but Shaq put the fear of God in the people guarding him. He scared you on a this isn't safe type of level. Jordan, LeBron, some others maybe scared you on a can I beat them level, a psychological level. Shaq scared you on the if I guard him, I might die level. Like, he was scary physically to be around. Like, you didn't want to defend him. The only thing I've ever seen like that in sports really was the way left-handed batters oftentimes seemed to feel when standing in against Randy Johnson. You were afraid, like scared of him. Shaq was a scary, scary guy. And it was a lot of fun to watch. I'll just say that. Going back a little further into my youth, Hakeem Olajuwon was amazing. He was just so skilled, so determined, so dominant on both sides of the ball. I think in my lifetime, I just missed the tail end of Kareem's career. In my lifetime, he's the best player I've watched. Best center, I mean. He's the best center I've watched. Guy was just unbelievable. For everything I just said about Shaq, he was the best. He was absolutely the best. And Hakeem was just unbelievable. He really was. So he's definitely on my list of my favorite playoff performers. So far I have Kobe, I have Shaq, I have Hakeem Olajuwon, I got LeBron James. You know who was always, and this guy wasn't a star, but Derek Fisher was always a big time playoff performer for Utah, of course, more prominently for the Lakers. And even for Oklahoma City for a time, he was a really good playoff performer. He really was. Paul Pierce was as well. I think the guy's a total just useless in his post-basketball life. As a broadcaster, as a commentator, he comes across totally as the bitter old man. But for a time, he was a lot of fun to watch. He was very, very scary in the playoffs because he always seemed to be guarding the best player on the other team, at least the perimeter player. He made a lot of big shots. If you remember, near the end of his career, he really elevated Washington to a competitive playoff team and hit some big shots for them near the end of his career. So he had a really, really good career. He really was very good. Dirk Nowitzki was a great playoff performer. I enjoyed watching him a lot. I liked watching Tony Parker. He was really good in the playoffs. Here's another one. Of course, Robert Horry comes to mind. Mike Bibby, I used to hate him. He used to kill the Lakers all the time with the Kings. He was such a pain. Oh, he was good. He really was. I mean, there's a lot of names here. And again, if these sound somewhat recent, it's because, well, they're in the last 20 years or so. Most of the guys I'm talking about are the guys I'm only limiting this to people I've actually watched. You know, obviously I have a in-depth knowledge of NBA history. I could drop a lot of names of people who I would have loved to watch play, who I know I've watched videos of, but I wasn't alive to see live. I'm leaving those guys out for the purposes of this particular top 5. I'm not including those right now. But my goodness, there's been so many great performances, so many great players. You know, I think I'll say this. I think NBA playoffs offer as memorable a stage for establishing legendary memories as any other stage in all of entertainment. I mean, there are a lot more basketball playoff iconic moments than there are in, I think, other sports. And that's impressive given that by age, the NBA is a baby by comparison, certainly to Major League Baseball, but even to the NFL and the NHL. Those leagues have a near 30-year head start on the NBA. Those two leagues came around in, I think, 1920, both of them. And the NBA wasn't an actual entity until 1947. It wasn't even on the radar, really, until, you know, the end of the 50s, beginning of the 60s. And it didn't become like a national player of the highest order until really the 80s. So, I mean, and, you know, of course, a chunk of that time, there wasn't really much in the way of television. Now that, of course, goes for all sports. But I think the nature of the game of basketball lends itself to creating these iconic singular moments more so than other sports. Football's probably next, although baseball has its moments too, but basketball, I think, stands apart in terms of creating known iconic highlights. And just narrowing this down is hard, man. It really is. I'm going to say Shaq was my favorite playoff performer because he was so just scary. Like, to watch not just grown men, but the best athletes in the world, all of them huge, basically tremble guarding this guy. I mean, because not only was he a massive monster, but he was mean and aggressive too on the court. He really was. He's what I imagine it must have been like guarding Wilt Chamberlain. Now, Wilt was known to be a nice guy. He was known to pull back when he could have broken people's hands dunking the ball. There's a crazy Wilt story about how he dunked the ball through the hoop one time, and the ball came out from the net with such velocity, landing on Johnny Red Kerr's foot, he broke his toe. And then Kerr, embarrassed to admit that, kind of ran down the floor and pretended to fall and hurt his ankle, and then took himself out of the game that way to protect his dignity. I mean, you hear stories about like that kind of stuff, and it just blows your mind. But I wasn't around to see that, of course, but I was around to see Shaq. And I'll tell you this, there's never been an athlete in any sport other than maybe Randy Johnson in baseball and perhaps Dick Butkus in football, although I wasn't around for that either, who just scared other people like this. I mean, and there's probably been a lot of football players that scared other people because the nature of football lends itself to that. But in basketball, to be terrified to even defend the other guy, physically terrified, is a different level. So I'm going to go Shaq at number 1. I'm going to go with LeBron at number 2. I think LeBron's ability to win every place he goes with different casts of characters, different coaches, and bring the winning with him, I think is one of the most impressive things I've seen. So I'm going there. I'm going LeBron at number 2. Number 3, I'm probably going to go Hakeem Olajuwon. The skill level he had at his position was just unbelievable. His shooting was incredible. His footwork is probably the best ever. And his ability to be dominant on both sides of the ball and really be a go-to guy while being the anchor defensively takes an amazing amount of endurance. And I think that for me is a big part of it. It really is. It's a big part of my memory. So I'm going with him at number 3. Number 4, I'm probably going to go Kobe Bryant. He was my favorite player growing up. I kind of hung on his every game, especially in the playoffs. I just thought he was an absolute artist on the basketball court. His skill set, his shot making repertoire, the different moves he had, the different areas from the floor he would take shots what no one else would take. I just loved everything about him. His tenacity. I loved everything about him. And number 5 for me, I was always impressed. It comes down to a couple. Mike Bibby. He was probably the guy that kind of scared me the most. He was the guy on the team I was rooting against that always gave me the biggest fear at the highest moments. So in that respect, he stands out in my memory. But I always loved watching Derek Fisher in the playoffs. The amount of trust that Phil Jackson and later Jerry Sloan had in him was pretty incredible. It really was. Watching a guy who was just a role player make such an outsized impact on so many playoff games for so many years. There really weren't many of them. Everyone talks about Robert Horry. He's hit a number of memorable shots, of course, but so has Fisher, and Fisher was a better player, I think, than Robert Horry. Like, I think he played better, more consistently than Horry did. So I'm going to go ahead and say Derek Fisher is my 5th most enjoyable playoff performer. I know it's a weird one. I didn't want to go all stars here. I wanted to give some love to the role playing guys. So I'm going to go Derek Fisher. So my top 5 playoff performers that I've enjoyed watching in my lifetime in order are as follows. Number 1, Shaquille O'Neal. Number 2, LeBron James. Number 3, Kobe Bryant. Number 4, Hakeem Olajuwon. Actually, no, I flipped that. Number 3, Hakeem Olajuwon. Number 4, Kobe Bryant. And number 5, Derek Fisher. That's my top 5 playoff performers that I've watched in my lifetime that I really enjoyed. Guys were awesome. Every one of them was incredible. So there you have it. Good stuff. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got some Yankees and Mets to get to. We have Brody Goodwin coming up in a little while. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. CaveTalkRadio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. Yankees playing the Cleveland Indians today. Yeah, I said it. It's not the Guardians. It's the Cleveland Indians at 1:10. You have Clark Schmidt and Peyton Battenfield. That is your pitching matchup. And then the Mets hosting the Padres. It is Tyler McGill for the Mets, Blake Snell for the San Diego Padres. So, here's something that I think people have to understand about this Met team. For all the payroll talk, Mets had an interesting opportunity yesterday, down 4-2, which they ended up losing in that final count. But Alvarez was up with a chance to tie or win the game. Runners on, I think it was second and third, with 2 outs, and he ended up striking out. But with all their payroll, a lot of it's tied up in injury. So people say, well, how are they only 500 with this payroll? Well, look at, they have a lot of short-term contracts too. That's the other thing. Justin Verlander draws a big number, but he's a short-term contract, right? Robbie Cano, big contract, dead contract against that payroll. So there's a lot of things like that. I don't know how baseball's accounting and characterization of expenses handles something like this, but Sengai, the Japanese pitcher, they paid Japan whatever that multi-million-dollar fee is that they always pay when they sign one of these guys. Does that go against the payroll? That I don't know, but that's another thing. So there's things like this that I just think people maybe misunderstand in terms of where all this money is going, and a lot of it's short term. Some of it's not. Obviously, they're going to have Pete Alonso that they're going to have to re-sign pretty soon. That's a big deal. but they lost 4-2 yesterday. They won the first game with the Padres. So, they're going to be, it's going to be interesting. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be very interesting. This is an important game, obviously, trying to win the series. Padres are a team that you're likely going to have to contend with later on down the line. So you want to win these games. This is a playoff team, most likely San Diego. So you want to win the rubber match today. And again, you got McGill and Blake Snell. Then you got opportunity to get a little fat and happy, albeit on the road, going on the road against Oakland for 3. Then you got to play the Dodgers in LA for 3. So that's not easy. And then the Giants on the road for 4. So you're doing a California trip all of next week. The entire week they'll be in California. They'll get there. The first game of the trip is Monday. They'll probably get there. They'll probably leave after this Sunday's game. I'm sorry, the first trip is Friday. Excuse me. So they're off tomorrow. So tomorrow's a travel day. So they'll probably leave after the game today sometime, get there sometime late tonight, early tomorrow, have the day to kind of settle in California. Then they play Oakland for 3, then LA for 3, and San Francisco. So they do a halt for 4. So they do a whole California swing. They'll be there over a week on the West Coast. And then you're going to go back home to Washington and Atlanta to finish out the month. So they'll be home for 3 against the Nationals beginning April 25th. And then they'll be home with the Braves until May 1st. So they finish out the month at home before going back on the road again for a 3-game set in May. So that's the upcoming schedule here for the Mets. Looking at tonight's game specifically, McGill got absolutely crushed last time he was on the hill. So that's not something you could feel totally great about if you're a Met fan. And this is obviously a lineup with San Diego that is incredibly scary. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel great, to be perfectly honest. We'll get to the Yankees in a minute. Talking about the Mets right now against the Padres. This is Vegas doesn't know how it feels about it either. There's no favorite. There's no favorite. Both teams are minus 109. So you're going to give a little bit if you bet the money line on either side. The over-under is set at 8.5. I think that's a safe over bet. I expect runs in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like an 8-6, 7-5 type of game. I think there's going to be runs in this game. Looking at some of the batting numbers here, the Padres have very little experience against McGill. Might work in their Mets' favor. Juan Soto is the only one with any real experience against him, and he's just 1 of 6. So not much to glean there. McGill, I must have been getting my guys wrong. McGill didn't get crushed last time. I'm thinking of someone else. I apologize. No, Tyler McGill's been great. He's won his 2 games. I'm thinking of someone else. I apologize for McGill there. I'm sorry. So yeah, he's got a great ERA. I'm thinking of someone else. I'm thinking of Carrasco. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Tyler McGill's been great for the Mets so far. And Blake Snell, not so much for the Padres in this first outing. Didn't do a lot. Mets, for their part, a lot of Mets have a lot of experience against Snell. Unfortunately, one of those guys, Francisco Lindor, who has by far the most experience, 26 at-bats against Snell, and Lindor has managed just 4 hits. He's got a 154 batting average against him. That's the bad news. The good news is Alonso, Canna, Nimmo, and Marte all have 10 or more at-bats against Blake Snell in their careers and have all hit him very well. Starling Marte, just a shade under 300, 5 for 17 with a home run. Brandon Nimmo has been 6 of 12 lifetime against Snell, so he's hitting 500. Canna has hit 333 with 4 hits and 12 tries. Alonso, 3 hits and 10 tries, including a home run. So there's been some the Mets probably are lined up to win this game. Looking at these numbers, I expect the one thing I would say, if you're going to bet this game, absolutely positively take the over. I would be stunned tonight if there's not at least about 10, 11 runs in this game. I think at a minimum, you're looking at 5-4 at a minimum. So I think that over is pretty safe. I don't know what to think about McGill. There's not any history there with the lineup he's going against other than Soto. So that could go either way. But I think the Mets statistically line up to hit Snell very well. So I would go the over on the over-under. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll hear from Lincoln. Who we got today? We got Brody Goodwin. That's coming up next. Brody Goodwin is next. Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens, and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show. It's time to hear from Brody Goodwin of the OC Smash. All righty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, and I have Brody Goodwin and his father Chris here from the OC Smash, the 11U squad. What's up, Brody? How's it going?
Good.
Good to have you. So, how long have you been playing baseball? When did you start playing?
Like around 5.
Wow. Okay. So you got started really early. And how long have you been with the Smash?
3 years, maybe 4.
Okay. Very cool. And what positions do you play?
I pitch, first base, and sometimes I play outfield.
Do you have a favorite position?
First base.
Understood. That was quick. What do you like about first base so much?
It's not a lot of movement. All I do is just stand there and catch the ball.
You're going to make a wonderful adult someday. I'll tell you that right now. You're already deciding economy of movement is good. That's a good thing. When I played Little League, I liked playing the infield too, but they never let me because I stunk. So they stick me in the outfield and no one ever hit the ball out to me. So they just kind of left me alone. But what's your favorite part about baseball? You like hitting, fielding? Like what's your favorite part of the game?
It's just like enjoying the game, like the fun of it.
Yeah.
And how it's just exciting.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's a fun game. Do you watch baseball on TV too?
Yes, a lot of it.
Who's your favorite team?
The Yankees.
Everyone likes the Yankees. I'm the only Met fan in all of Orange County Smash. Come on, guys.
We're sorry about that.
I'm telling you, it's like seriously. I think of the 20 people I've talked to so far. I think there's one other Met fan. Who's your favorite player on the Yankees?
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge. Yeah, he's pretty good. I can't lie. The guy, he hit 2 home runs the other day, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Okay, so now, what's been your favorite part of playing with this Smash, Brody?
Just playing with my friends, and the connection we have is good because we're a good team and we like to win.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Winning always makes things cooler. All right, I just gotta ask your dad a couple things. I'll be right back with you. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Chris. Now, do you have you had other children go through travel programs, or is Brody your first?
No, just Brody. We have one boy. We have a girl. She's in a gymnastics team, which is kind of travel too.
Okay. And what would you for a family that is maybe new to travel sports, that might be looking at putting a kid in travel for the first time, what would you kind of tell them to expect from the experience?
Well, I think the Smash experience is unique in that I don't think most travel teams, garner so many kids that are together in school and in religion and in other activities during the, in the community where most of them are, they take kids from all over. So our experience has been unique. And so I wouldn't be able to say much other than, we've enjoyed it for what Brody said, which is everybody's kind of in the same town. Mm-hmm. We like that, and they see each other in school and at other activities. And so I would tell a parent that, if you're looking for that kind of experience, I think that's a harder one to get. And we're really lucky with that with Smash. They're all pretty tight as friends, and they see each other more than just on the diamond, and I think other travel squads are not like that. So, in closing, I would say that's more unique for travel, I think, than otherwise you would find.
Yeah, no, that really is. That's a common theme. I hear that from a lot of people. Last thing I wanted to ask you is, as far as the time spent traveling, and of course there's an expense to it. What's the what kind of development from all that have you seen with your son as he gets a little older?
The competition has been better. The coaches do a good job of moving them from division to division. Like I know last year they moved them up into an older division, but played them. Older. We went to the 50-70 field, right? And then we played in the lower. Yeah, we played in the lower division, which was good because they got the 50-70 experience, but they didn't have to worry so much about the competition. It was I think they probably could have even played a little higher. So that's been, I think, good from a development standpoint for them to get them ready for the big field. I also think they're doing a good job of picking some different places to go to, really, we don't play a lot of the same teams, and they're in a lot of different tournaments. For instance, I know this summer we're going up to like upstate New York. So, speaking as a coach, I'm always looking to find better competition so that the kids can play up to that competition. And so that's been a nice thing with them, is they're really looking to challenge the kids. So that's a great developmental feature when they don't stay really with the same teams. We don't really play a lot of the same teams over and over again. They've changed it up with that, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that really is cool, and that's gotta be fun. I guess for the kids too. It's just a new experience every time. All right, cool. Hey, let me. I just got a couple more things for Brody.
Okay.
Hey, Brody. What's been your favorite memory so far since you've been playing with the Smash?
We just had a Hershey tournament recently, and we won, and the last game went 5 for 5.
Oh man, that's cool. You went 5 for 5. Where did you get those hits? All over the field, or did you pull them?
Yeah, it's like deep outfield.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you bat lefty or righty?
I bat lefty.
You're lefty. All right, cool. And I guess my my last question for you is, what's been your favorite place to play? Your dad was just saying you guys have gotten to go to a lot of different places, changing up different teams and stuff. What's been your favorite place you've gone to so far?
There's a lot.
Hard question.
It's a good question.
Got to make you work a little bit, after all, you're a Yankee fan and everything, so you guys are spoiled, so you gotta work a little bit on this show.
That's true.
Easy.
Well, you've had a bunch of places. What would be the favorite place you've been?
Probably Ripken.
Yeah.
I bet you get that answer quite a bit.
That's a good. Yeah, I've gotten that a few times. A couple of people have gone to Cooperstown. That's another answer I get sometimes.
Okay.
But that's I've actually been to the Ripken facility, and that's a really cool place.
Yeah,
it really is. So I can see why that's a positive memory. Well, hey, good luck this season, okay, and have a good year. Have some fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
All righty, thanks, guys. And that is
have a great night.
You too. Thank you very much. That's Brody and Chris Goodwin. This is the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on the Cave.
Coffee Lovers Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard. Last 20 minutes or so of the program today. Yankees bludgeoned Cleveland last night behind Garrett Cole, 11-2. A total beatdown. Really, just a old-fashioned butt kicking. There's nothing else to say about it. Yankees got a lot of production up and down the lineup. DJ LeMahieu was 2 for 4, scored twice. Judge really didn't do a whole lot. Had one. He had 2 hits and 5 at bats. Scored a run. Really, a lot of the damage came from the bottom of the Yankees lineup. This is Cordero had 3 RBIs, 2 for Rizzo, and then 1 apiece for Calhoun, Cabrera, and Trevino. Some unearned runs in this one. Just an ugly game. Cole was fantastic, going 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 3. Didn't strike out a lot of guys, but was pitching to contact. Walked a couple, and hey, Yankees now 7-4, doing pretty good. We'll break down their lineup in just a second, but before we do that, give you a quick scoreboard from around the majors last night. The Mets, we know, lost 4-2. We talked about that one already. Oakland got beat by Baltimore 12-8. Pittsburgh 7 versus Houston's 4. So Pittsburgh with the upset win there. Tampa Bay remains undefeated, going to 11-0, beating Boston 7-2. Miami beat Philadelphia 8-4. Toronto triples up Detroit 9-3. San Diego 4, Mets 2. Atlanta edges Cincinnati 7-6. Minnesota 4, Chicago 3-10. And the Cubs 14, the Mariners 9. Texas outlasts Kansas City in extra innings 8-5. St. Louis 9, Colorado 6. LA Angels 2, Washington Nationals 0 behind a good outing from Shohei Ohtani. Milwaukee clobbers Arizona 7-1, and San Francisco blanks the Dodgers 5-0. That was yesterday's scoreboard. Now let's take a look at the Yankees, looking at tonight's game with I'll tell you what, they just beat the snot out of Cleveland yesterday. It's hard to it's hard to imagine Cleveland contending with them after a game like that. But that's why it's baseball. Every day is different. Every day is its own thing. We mentioned the Dodgers. They really have to play better. Cleveland is a slight underdog in this one. A slight favorite in this one. No, slight underdog. I'm sorry. Both are minus number. Yankees are slight favorites here. I was almost going dyslexic there. I don't know what was going on. Yankees minus 117, Cleveland minus 103. Over under in this one's 9.5. Vegas is expecting some runs. Not a lot of experience for either lineup against the opposing pitcher. So this game is sort of anybody's guess. I'll tell you this. This is going to be a game of offense. I think Vegas has this right. Neither pitcher is particularly scary. Both are fairly middle of the road or lower type of guys. And that has to favor the Yankees. Between Stanton, Rizzo, Judge, all these guys, I like where this team is going. Volpe is in the lineup again. He's projected to lead off tonight. By the way, talking about New York sports, Saquon Barkley not signing his franchise tender until the team breaks camp. This according to multiple reports. And that begins on Monday. That's the off-season program, which begins on Monday. And, of course, by not signing that, it makes him ineligible to participate. And they are continuing to negotiate. Look, I will always understand, particularly running backs, trying to make sure they got the most from their careers as fast as they can, because they don't last long. And because they don't last long, they're not always valued the way they should be. And because of that, I think that if you're a running back, you have to get as much money as you can as fast as you can. So if there's any position in the NFL that I truly understand this type of sense of urgency, it's definitely running back. And in this case, I think it makes perfect sense because without him, I don't believe Daniel Jones is much of a threat. I think Barkley's ability to kind of command defensive attention and keep the chains moving is what allows Jones to do the play action, to do the short plays, to do the RPOs. All the things that he's good at are based off of the threat of a running game, which Barkley alone provides. I think he's absolutely critical. I don't think there's a more critical running back to his team's success in all the NFL than Saquon Barkley with the Giants, with the possible exception of McCaffrey with the Niners, assuming their quarterback position is not upgraded between now and then. With Brock being out and assuming Trey Lance is going to be the guy, I think their quarterback position is going to be a disaster. It's going to basically be a 2 running back formation with McCaffrey and Lance. That's my prediction. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on this Giants thing as the season progresses. But ultimately, I think he's an interesting watch. Getting back to the Yankees, I think that they're still far better than the Tampa Bay Rays, even though the Rays have the better record right now. This start has been crazy. I don't really buy it, though. A little NBA action tonight, kind of jumping around here a little bit, but Lakers advance. They'll play the Grizzlies after their overtime win against Minnesota. Minnesota now, that was the 7-8 matchup, so they'll go ahead and play the loser of the 9-10 matchup. So that's coming up. And then the winner of that will get to play the Denver Nuggets in the first round. And I'll tell you something. This play-in tournament, it's taken a couple of years to fully internalize, but I really like it. And by the way, that 9-10 matchup is Oklahoma City and New Orleans. So the winner of that game will play the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the winner of that one will go into the first full round of the playoffs against the Denver Nuggets, the 1 seed in the West. Also tonight, you have on ESPN, both these games are on ESPN. You have Toronto hosting Chicago. I believe Chicago is going to win this game. I really do. Chicago's been a team all year that I've liked better than their record. And maybe Toronto is the opposite. I've liked them less than maybe their record indicates at times. I just don't really believe much in Toronto. I think they're a team of a collection of pretty good players, but I don't think there's a nucleus to their cell. I don't think they have a lead character. And I think they're a collection of second and third and fourth options without a single one. That's why I like Chicago better. They have maybe 2 twos, but DeRozan in particular is closer to a 1 than a 2. He's probably not quite a 1, but he's not your normal 2 either. So I like their top level talent better. And I like their ability to make DeRozan in particular. I like his ability to make shots from anywhere at any time. And because of that, I think I'm going to go with the Bulls here. But this is, I think this will be a pretty close game. I really do. It's probably my least interesting game for the play-in round. I'm not, both of these are, to be honest with you. Neither of these games holds a ton of excitement to me. I don't think any team in any of these games has any real chance of doing anything significant. I would say after watching Minnesota last night, I think they're very likely to beat either Oklahoma City or New Orleans, presuming Zion doesn't play. By the way, he made comments the other day that he's physically fine, but he's not Zion yet, so he's not playing. What does that even mean? This guy barely ever plays. It's really, it's very frustrating. I mean, he's barely played in his whole career. He's always hurt. He's always out. And people say, well, when he does play, it's like, well, when he does play, he's great. Yeah, but he doesn't play often enough. So anyway, we'll see. All right, well, that does it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. See you then. The Gary